So I just watched this video about burgers on fried macaroni and cheese buns, and now I like want to go puke because it was gross. I like mac and cheese like I was a small child, and I like burgers, but I can't see combining them. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, that's my story. Today we are solving inequalities by multiplying or dividing. That sounds like a load of fun. We are on page 112. And the first problem we're going to do is 3x is greater than negative 27. Okay, again today we're going to look at the inequality sign as if it were an equal sign, and we're solving for the variables. So the 3 and the x right next to each other means multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we divide each side by 3. And we get x is greater than negative 9. We graph that. Let's see here. Let's start at negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7. Since the variable's on the left-hand side, we can just follow the rule of the circle. Goes over negative 9, it's open, and it points to the right, because if you were to put that arrow or inequality sign on the line, it would go down on the right. The next problem we got, which some of you are struggling with more than are struggling than not, so if you are, don't feel bad, you are not alone. Okay, 2/3 r is less than 6. When we are looking at this, 2/3 and the r right next to each other means multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So you are going to divide each side by 2/3. Okay, so essentially you're going to have 6 divided by 2/3. However, when we are dividing by a fraction, we keep the first term the same, switch the division to multiplication, and write down the reciprocal or flip the second term. So you can show all that work over here, or you can simply do times the reciprocal. Oops, I put an R because I said reciprocal, I think. Okay. Times the reciprocal, and then you can multiply 6 over 1 times 3 over 2. Same thing, all right? So you can do it either way. You can either show what I showed on the right or do it like I just did. So here we go. These cancel, and these cancel, leaving us with just r is less than, and then 2 goes into 2 one time, and it goes into 6 3 times. So then we have 3 times 3 is 9. Since the variable is on the left-hand side, we can follow our rule. This says the number is less than 9, and we can do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we put the circle over 9. It is open because it's not an equal to. And then our arrow goes to the left, because if you were to move this down here, it would fit nicely down on the left-hand side. So you're thinking this is pretty easy. It doesn't really get much harder. There's just one thing you have to remember. And that one thing that you have to remember is the following. Oh man. Okay. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality sign flips. Inequality sign flips. That simply means if it's greater than, it would flip to less than. If it's less than, it would flip to greater than. If it's greater than or equal to, it would flip to less than or equal to. And if it's less than or equal to, it would flip to greater than or equal to. Okay? So that's really, it's not a hard concept as long as you can remember it. So that is only when you multiply or divide by a negative number. So basically, if you have a negative variable, okay? If you just have 4x is less than negative 24 and you divide by 4, you would have x is less than negative 6. That is fine. We did not divide or multiply by a negative number. However, if you have negative 8, x is greater than 72, you divide by negative 8, and when you divide by negative 8, you need to flip it from greater than to less than, and 72 divided by negative 8 is negative 9, and then you would graph that just like normal. You would follow the rules for your answer. So you have negative 11, negative 10, negative 9, negative 8, negative 7. We would have an open circle over negative 9, and it would point to the left. Okay? Or, if we had, here's another thing some of us are struggling with, negative 3 is less than or equal to x over negative 5. If I ever have that where the variable is in the numerator, I can rewrite that as negative 3 is less than or equal to negative 1/5 x. Okay, it means the same thing. Replace the numerator with a 1 and put the x off to the side. That's multiplication. To undo multiplication, we have to divide. When we divide by a fraction, we have to divide by the reciprocal, or multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 5 over 1. Since it was negative 1/5, we have to multiply by negative 5 over 1 because that changes these to positives and cancels these out, leaving us with just x. But I also have to multiply this by negative 5 over 1. Negative 5 times negative 3 is 15. And since I divided or multiplied, because I ended up multiplying, by a negative number, my sign flips. So it says 15 is greater than or equal to x. Now remember that when your variable is on your right side, you can't just follow that rule that we always follow. You have to switch it so that this says x is less than or equal to 15. Now that the variable is on the left side, you can follow the rule we've been using the whole time. And we have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We have a less than or equal to this time, so it's not just open, you got to fill it in, and it points to the left, so we're going to point our arrow to the left. Now we have a consumer application. Ryan has a $16 gift card for a health store where a smoothie costs $2.50 with tax. What are the possible numbers of smoothies Ryan can buy? So we have $2.50 for each smoothie. And he has $20. Okay? So we want to know the possible number. Possible number is going to be less than or equal to. Okay? The reason it's going to be less than or equal to is because we have $20 total. We can't spend more than $20. But we could spend an equal total of $20. So we have $2.50 for each smoothie. We don't know how many smoothies we're buying, so this is our unknown. So we can put an X. is less than or equal to 20. Then we need to get x by itself. So we divide, okay, actually he had $16, so we're going to change that to $16, sorry. I was like, why does this look weird? Okay, so here we go again. So he has $16. So now we're going to get x by itself. So we divide by $2.50. That cancels this. Since I didn't divide by a negative number, my sign stays the same. And 16 divided by 250 is 6.4. So Ryan can buy up to 6 smoothies. Since you can't buy 6.4 smoothies, and if he buys 7, it will be over that $16. Okay? So if you want to be done, you can be done and start on the lesson. If you're just loving doing math today with me, we can keep going for a few minutes. So let's look at a problem like this. We got 2.4 is less than or equal to negative m over 3. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite that as 2.4 is less than or equal to negative 1/3 m. Remember, I can replace my numerator with a 1 and then put my variable off to the side. The 1/3 and the m right together means multiplication. To undo multiplication of a fraction, I multiply by the reciprocal, but since it's negative 1/3, I have to multiply by negative 3 over 1. Alright, these two negatives change to positive. This 3 cancels here, and this 1 cancels here. So now I have negative 3 times 2.14, which is negative 7.2. I multiplied by a negative number, so I'm going to flip the sign, and then I have just m. Remember, before I can graph that using my rule, m needs to go on the left side, close towards m, negative 7.2. So m is less than or equal to 7.2. Okay. I'm not going to graph those. I feel like you guys probably have a good grasp on graphing those ones. 3/4 r is less than 12. Okay, another fraction. To undo a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to do times 4/3. And then we're going to do times 4/3. These 4's cancel. These 3's cancel. And it gives us r is less than 3 goes into 3 once and into 12 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. Since I didn't divide by a negative number, I keep my sign the same. And if I were to graph that, since the variable is on the left side, I can just do it like normal and follow my little rule. All right. We'll do one more, just because, you know, what the heck. Negative 8 is less than or equal to x over negative 3. Remember, we can replace that with negative 8 is less than or equal to negative 1/3 x. Since it's a negative and a fraction, we're going to multiply by the negative reciprocal, so negative 3 over 1, and I need to do that on both sides. Alright, these two negatives change to positives, these 3's cancel out, 1's cancel out, and negative 3 times negative 8 is 24. I multiplied by a negative number, so my sign flips, and I get x. However, I want that x on the left side, so I'm going to rewrite this as x is less than or equal to 24. Alright, so you have a quiz tomorrow, I think. Let me check. Yes. And I'm going to say that if you know the extra credit, the extra credit, hopefully I remember to put this on there. If I don't, I'm gonna feel bad. What does blue 47 mean? And if you can tell me that it means a picture, oh no, a blue, if you can tell me the following. A blue plane with the number 47 on the wing, I will give you extra credit. So this is the extra credit question right there. And if people didn't watch the video to the full extent, they won't know that. So don't tell people, because you don't want them to get extra credit when you did all the work. All right, we're done now. Have a great day. Okay, algebra 1.